Hi, my name is Trey. I like to talk about mythology, truth, and rock out on this channel. Today, I want to talk about the modern Sisyphus, the little me, and the dark ones, the fallen. We're born into this world where the mainstream media and the rent and all these Saturn cube boxes, tech hex, convince most of us that it's every man for himself, particularly here in the coast of California. Most people, whether they're raised Catholic with the Draco influence or just the subconscious programming, as I've said before, of the many multifaceted, extremely prevalent, powerful operations to control our thoughts. So how does this relate? Well, my view of the modern person, whether it be the wage slave, the person who believes that they have to live out their dreams no matter what, step on anyone, act like a totally narcissistically abusive person to get there, and also the person who receives money from the government, the welfare check, or even just food stamps, who believes they never have to contribute or give back, that they can just take and it's okay, and get a better life out of it or improve themselves, unless they're, when they're willing to do no work. I'm not talking about the people who receive income and do things to better themselves or heal. I'm talking about the people who never do anything to heal. Okay. Similarly, the person who lives around here, they might be able to pay their rent every month. And again, as I've said in previous videos, their dreams or their soul's purpose kind of like sits on the back burner until they forget about it. It's really not kosher. It's not acceptable to the soul. But the modern condition, every single person who's obedient to this inverted, sick society is simply just like the old Sisyphus. This person has developed huge muscles. They're completely obsessed with the little me, thinking about what they're going to do with their time only, not the community. Some of them, they want to have a community. They tell me that. They want to build a beautiful world. But the rent, the gas, the cost of food, the cost of everything is keeping them from their dreams. It slips back. That rock slips back. I see it all the time. It's very rare to see somebody who achieves their harmless, respectful lifetime goal without hurting anyone, without that rock slipping back. When you look behind the scenes, like in the movie The Wizard of Oz, when you look and see how the controllers operate, when you study some of the things I've mentioned on this channel, you begin to see that at first, if you don't change, your whole existence is this Sisyphus character. And this is the modern state. It's really sick because you think you're improving, like by being a good wage slave or taking your welfare check and spending it on survival, and you think somehow you're going to work through somehow by towing the line, and this doesn't really include all of those in the secret societies and all the Dark Lords clubs, because they all have each other. As Mark Passio said, there used to be a satanic high priest, and then he quit to expose their mind control. So I've learned a lot from an insider. They would never be solipsistic. They know they need to exist in a community. They need to work together. However, they inflict through ego, through overblown ego narcissistic personality disorder, and on a more mild form, through solipsism programming. In other words, you can't be sure if anyone else is true. You can't be sure if you can trust anyone else. You can't be sure if they're real. So as long as you believe this subconscious solipsistic ideology, I got to do it all. I got to do it all. Before I started this channel, I was one of these people for a long time, because I see so many narcissistic people around me, so many self-possessed, so many solipsistic, so many mentally ill, codependent, sick in the head people of every economic level. You start to think, well, I've got to do my job. I've got to focus on what I'm doing and not try to rescue them or not try to even put up with their psychosis. But my job is this. I'm going to be the one-man band, in my case, or whatever it was. So every time one of these Zeta or other mind control programs or somebody else's ego or somebody else's psychic trash smacks into me, it's like, well, especially the so-called Curse of Santa Cruz, where it's all amped up. The situation just always seems like you're Sisyphus. Okay, oh, it's not going to work, but you got to keep pushing that boulder up. Well, you keep the modern person keeps playing the role of Sisyphus until they realize it's futile and it's suicidal and it's going to torture you your whole life. The Illuminati, the Dark Lord's people have designed it this way to make, as long as you think paying the rent, putting food on the table, taking care of your wife and kids is all that matters, and you're not really financially doing well, it's always the same character pushing this rock up the hill. Until you get real sick of it, until you get real tired of the abuse, until you get real tired of thinking, you know what? It's really not all about me. It's really not all about my ego. It's really not all about this narcissistic thing that I think I am. It's really not all about seeing through my position, seeing through my job, seeing through my marriage or my mom or dad or brother's eyes or seeing sister, children, seeing what these other people think of me is going to keep me stuck in this person, in this nasty, multi-lifetime long, usually scam, of trying to push this rock up the hill and it keeps slipping back. Until you're really sick of it, then you say, well, there's got to be something more to life than being this Sisyphus. And that's when you really realize, if I kick my ego's ass a little bit, even, or a lot, if I whip this narcissistic entity out of my consciousness, there is no problem as far as forming a community. There is no problem as far as you don't have to spend your whole life pushing that rock up the hill. You know that it's futile, and the second or third enlightened master in the Mahayana Tantric Buddhism teachings from Tibet was a man named Milarepa, and he's one of the most well-loved sages, spiritual masters of the old days. But when he was young, he used black magic, and he killed off a whole village with the storm that he generated with black magic. And so he felt, of course, guilty and terrible. And of course, since we're empathic, he felt the suffering of all the deaths he caused. So he found Marpa the translator, the man who brought the Tibetan Tantric Buddhist teachings over from India. And Marpa made him build a house and tear it down, and build a bigger house and tear it down several times. Why did he make him do this? Because he had killed all those people, and he knew that this guy needed to do some karmic payment. Okay, so this Sisyphus character, I mean, maybe you were violent or disgusting or doing evil in the past life, and you're working it out. But the moment when you stop identifying with that violent person, the moment you really repent, the obedient to the status quo, the establishment that's torturous, the moment you start to question that I have to do it all myself, that was a big thing with me, then you can have community, even if it's just like me on YouTube of 35 people. But the moment you question the bullshit enough to say, no more, you don't have to be this modern Sisyphus guy anymore. You can take your discernment and do something else. Thank you very much, and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this. God bless you. And remember, we each have the ability to learn to ascertain and discern proper choices. And this Sisyphus guy is really not the proper choice, because we can learn to make the works more balanced by sharing. God bless all of you, and have a wonderful day. Enjoy your sunshine.